let me just tell you, please do not sit here thinking that Jacob Matthew is probably the best husband in the world, best father in the world. The truth is I'm not. I'm like anybody else, like you. I'm a regular man. There are times I flare up. But I tell you something, I look at my family life and I say, thank God for God's grace and His favor upon my life. Praise the Lord. But I can tell you something, a secret. This year will be 25 years since we got married. And all these 25 years of my marriage, one thing I promised my wife the day we got married, I told her, we will never go to bed being angry at each other. And I can tell you, all these 25 years, not one single night, we went to bed being angry at each other. That is good. That doesn't mean that we never had arguments, difference of opinion. We had, but we resolved them, we prayed together, went to bed. So I want to thank the Lord for that. God is still merciful. He is kind to us. Right. Please don't get the impression that you came. See, a lot of people have difficulty with the marriage seminar when they say, oh, marriage seminar? People who got problems, they go for that. We are okay. I don't need to come. You didn't come because you got issues. You came because you wanted to prevent issues. I always like to call it marriage enrichment seminars. Okay? This is the way that we wanted to make sure that our families grow. We get enriched. We become stronger. Because when a family is stronger, a church is stronger. And a nation is stronger. Kingdom is stronger. So that's the reason we come. Okay? So I'm not looking at here and say, oh, these are all people who found. No. So this is one of the reasons a lot of people don't come, because they think if I go, somebody will think I've got issues going on. No, that's not the reason. We come because we wanted to learn more things. At least I buy every month, at least I buy one book on marriage, because I wanted to read and make sure that I stay current and I understand what's happened. When somebody speaks on marriage, I tune and listen to that, because that's my passion. I really like it. All right, now, there was one man who went to marriage seminary. He didn't take his wife. He went alone. And he really loved it. That is the first time he heard the instructor or the preacher was telling about how you should be nice to your wife and buy her some flowers. And, but this guy never knew what flowers are, never bought them. So he felt so sad. I was treating my wife so bad. I never gave her anything. So he decided to get a bunch of flowers. And so he went home and he rang the bell. And the wife opened the door and she saw her husband standing with flowers. And she said, what a day. This morning, baby fell from the bed. I burned the food. Now husband come drunk. So if you are here single, you may want to go home and act differently, so your wife would be, or husband would be thinking, I know you're all probably, couples have done, so it helps both of you. Now, we all can take home something. And I believe you go away from this place carrying something with you. I'm not saying something that's brand new that you don't know. I'm saying some things that's very common to all of us. But this is something that is something that we sometimes forget. We sideline. But this is an opportunity for us to refresh our memories and go home with the resolve that I'm going to make a difference in my family. All right? I want to say a couple of things. Start off something with as a way of introduction. You understand that marriages are going through a very difficult time, right? Okay. Indians used to always say, oh, we got strong marriage, and the word divorce is not in our dictionary. But I tell you, it's in the dictionary now. It's creeping into Christian churches today. So many families are broken. I'm a pastor, and I also worked as a counselor for years, so I have counseled hundreds of people, different parts of the world. I can tell you honestly, so many families are going through very difficult times. They are married, but emotionally divorced. They stay under one roof, sometimes even in one bed. Now we have a lot of people sleeping in two different beds, two different rooms, but in the same room. It's going through a lot of changes today. I'm talking about Christians, believers. It's time for us to look back into our own married life and see what is wrong, what can we do to make it better. Divorce is skyrocketing in this country. A lot of people decide to live together, not getting married, because they think that's the best way. They date for 5 years, everything is okay. They get married, 6 months down the road she says, he's up and tight. So what were you doing all these 5 years? When commitment comes, marriage comes, things are slowly start breaking down. So we wanted to make sure that we protect our families, our children, everything. You know, I want to just show you a little from the culture that we live in. You know, you look at the America, there's a group of people, generation, born between 1922 and 1943. The social scientists, they call them builders. That's a nickname that is given to this generation, builders. This is the greatest generation this country has ever seen. They are hard workers. They worked very hard. They stayed married, worked through the issues. All those things are there. Very strong people. They believed in marriage. I was reading a story of a couple who went to the court to get a divorce after 75 years of marriage. Okay, 75 വർഷം കല്യാണം കഴിച്ച് കോടതി പോയി. So the judge asked them question. Why did you wait this long? After 75 years of marriage, why you need a divorce right now? And they said, well, we were waiting for our last grandchild to get married. just think about the mindset of this people. So this generation believe that you get married, you're married for good, you stay married until death separates you. Then we have another generation called, very famous, baby boomers. This is from 1943 to 60. Baby boomers generation, they believe in the longevity of marriage. They believe that you need to stay married for a very long time. And they said we need to mask the troubles. No one should know what's happening in our family. It should stay here. Okay? So they try to mask, they try not to deal with it, they try to mask it. They're busy with their work, they want it to be successful. So they just kept things like that. Worked very hard. And look at their attitude towards kids. This is what they say. To the kids they'll say, I didn't have it, okay? I didn't have it, but I'm going to make sure you get it. That's the attitude. You're going to have it. There's a third generation. This is from 1960 to 1980. This generation is called the busters. All right? And their philosophy is actually give marriage a shot. Let's see how it works. See, I want you to look at when it comes to that generation, let's see, and marriage is an option. Divorce is an option. The first two generations, it wasn't an option. Now the third generation when it came, they said, oh, let's try it. maybe it works. Otherwise, we'll go for the divorce. So the kids, this is what they say. I didn't have it, but you will get everything. Now look at the next generation. This is from 1980 to present. And they are called the Bridgers, or they are also known as the millennials or the mosaics. That's the name that is given to them. These are the generation that's so obsessed with all kinds of electronic stuff and iPads, iPhones, you name it all. That's the generation more into the internet, chatting, and all this. Their philosophy is actually delay marriage as much as possible. Okay, you would see, go to cities, you see girls who are 31, 32, 34, and we have guys who are like 35, 34, people who are, even 29, the age 29-year-old is, you ask, hey, you're not getting married? Oh, I'm just thinking, I got time. How old are you, man? 29. I'm only 29. So they're trying to buy more time as possible. And I'm just trying to say that as generations pass by, as you see cultures really changing, people's attitude towards marriage is also changing. And we actually feel the impact of that even today. Then we also live in a time where it's like marriage is something like disposable. Marriage comes with, people get the idea, it's an expiration date. A lot of things you get, you buy a gallon of milk and you look at what's the expiration. Now I don't know, people today think like that marriage is coming with an expiration automatic. It's like license. Passport. Passport has an expiration date. 15 years or 20. And I tell you something, it's time for us to throw all those things away. See, culture is trying to put things into your head. Asking you to just walk away. This is it. Don't you get tired? See, sometimes you go to your offices. I remember years ago when I was working, people ask, oh, Jacob, how long have you been married? I said, 15 years. Man, that's too long. That's what they think about. 15 years is too long. It's not true. I said, that's not too long. You're supposed to stay married till death do you part. Till death separates you. You're supposed to stay married. That's God's covenant. That's covenant you made with God. And some of those people still don't get it. Oh, don't you get tired of staying with her all these years, man? I said, no. She said, I get tired. I can handle it. This is my third one. So that's what they think about it, and so it's pretty common stuff. You don't like it, get a new one. Get a new one. All right. Now listen, there's a Harvard University professor by the name Dr. Carl Zimmerman. He wrote a book in 1947, and it's called The Family and Civilization. Great work. He was trying to show the relationship between the strength of the family and the strength of the culture. കുടുംബം ഒരു സംസ്കാരത്തെ എങ്ങനെ ശക്തീകരിക്കുക എന്നുള്ളത് ബേസ് ചെയ്തൊരു എഴുത്തായിരുന്നു. He writes about so many things. He writes about the concept of nuclear family. Nuclear family basically says that just me, my wife, and my kid. That's it. I don't have to worry about my father, mother, brother, sister. Just me and my wife. I mean, that's pretty strong in our culture today, right? When some of you, the older folks, can think about when you get married, you brought the wife home, where you stayed with your folks, with your mother and father in your home, at least for some time. And the father would say someday, son, it's time for you to get a house and move, or he kind of helped them build a house and they moved. But today what happens is actually when you get married, they don't even spend 1 hour in their parents' house. They don't even stay there one night. Even before they get married, they got the apartment in their names and everything in their name. And as soon as they come from the reception, that's where they go. It's all about the nuclear family. Now, Zimmerman actually lists 6 particulars of a society that is nearing extinction. വംശനാശം സംഭവിക്കാൻ പോകുന്ന ഒരു സംസ്കാരത്തിന്റെ 6 പ്രത്യേകതകൾ അദ്ദേഹം എഴുതിയിട്ടുള്ള കാര്യങ്ങളാണ്. I'm just saying this as a way of introduction because I want to get into something that I wanted to say today. One, you wanted to see a culture that is going to be destroyed, come to an extinction. വംശനാശം സംഭവിക്കാൻ പോകുന്ന ഒരു സംസ്കാരം മനസ്സിലാക്കണമെങ്കിൽ he says 6 things. Number 1, increase rapid, easy, costless divorces. Okay, I want you to remember this book was written in 1947, which was prophetic in one sense. Okay, increased, rapid, easy, costless divorces. Number 1. Think about it. I don't know if any of you get the opportunity to read all these Kerala Express or some of the things. You look at the matrimonial columns, and at the innocently. I don't know what that stuff is still. I'm trying to figure out. Or they say gently divorced. I don't know what that is. All right. Number 2. Elimination of real meaning of marriage ceremony. Elimination of real meaning of marriage ceremony. Now, as a pastor, I see today, people look at their marriage ceremony. See, there are people who come tell me, Pastor, I want you to come and do my marriage. Okay? 7 minutes message. 7 minutes. Then marriage service, can you do it in 15 minutes? Okay. I want everything to be over in 45 minutes. Maximum, they say 30 minutes, maximum 45 minutes. I sometimes feel like telling these kids, why do you want to have this stuff? Go to the registrar and get, go to the court. What do you have? See, what happens? Marriage is a great opportunity to tell the world what God has done. Marriage is you have a captive audience. 300, 400, 500 people sitting there. What an opportunity to tell what does marriage signify. What is this whole thing about? It's an opportunity for people to listen to what a husband should be doing, what a wife should be doing, what's the mission of a family. It's a reminder to us. Look, see, when you go sit in a funeral service, now listen to a good funeral sermon, that's a wake-up call for a lot of us. We think about life and the brevity of life. Jeevidathinte hraswada itrayullalo jeevitham. It'll come to an end. And if I must take care of myself, marriage is the best opportunity to remind ourselves. And what happens when you cut? And what happens to these young people today is they have 1.5 hours to photograph. Listen. It's not that they are concerned about time. They're only concerned about the service. 1.5 is a photo time. Then you have to sit and watch all they have done. Sometimes when I sit and watch the video clips they play, I feel that some of them are 5th wedding anniversary. It's telling you the last 5 years what we did. It's so sad, very sad. Or they went to cruise together before marriage. And you got pictures of all them, going for cruise and being in different places, what they have done, the girl, sleeping on his lap. And why do you want to call all the people and show all this different stuff? Are the people that sit there to watch what we have done? I'm saying is that you have time for everything, but no time for real marriage ceremony. I'm also not in favor of thinking that marriage should be an opportunity, it's a convention time. No, marriage is a marriage. People have to be sensible what they do. But you should have a good, solid message. Young people, I really thank Lord for some young people. When they call and say, Pastor, when you come, give a good message. You have all the permission to do it. That's good. You should have at least 25 minutes of good message. I don't think you can do in 7 minutes. What are you going to do in 7 minutes time? 25 minutes is a good time. 25 to 30 minutes is a good time to give a message. See, losing marriage, meaning of marriage ceremony. Number 3, rise of theories that companionate marriage or looser family forms which solve social ills. The third, Zimmerman says that, all kinds of theories began to come. Just live together. Why do you need to get married? Why you spend so much of money? After all, you wanted to live together, so just live together. So this shacking up together, all these kinds of stuff will rise up in a community. And he said this in 1947. Fourth one, refusal of many other people married under the older family form to maintain their traditions while other people escape the obligation. That means people who married in the old system, they are not actually holding on to the good tradition that they had. All right. See, remember, Carl Zimmerman is not necessarily a Christian preacher. He's just a professor. Number 5, breaking down of most inhibitions against adultery. Okay? Breaking down of most inhibitions against adultery. What that really means. A culture will come. A time will come where people have no problem committing adultery. So listen, we watch all television or shows they talk about swapping. Or you take my wife and I take your husband, let's just go around. And people sit and watch and go, oh, that's a cool show, man. It's not, adultery is not a bad stuff anymore today. All kinds of things are really happening today. I still remember some years ago when I used to work in Texas. There was this lady who worked with me. She had 2 children, one in high school, the other one elementary school, middle school or something. And one day, she comes and asks me, Jacob, can I take afternoon off? I'll go to lunch because my high school sweetheart is in town, so I just wanted to go lunch with him. I said, okay. So she went. Then she comes back the next day and says, I also want to go today also. And the third day she didn't come to work. She called in sick. Now just think about it. Here is a woman who's married to a man, 2 kids, and been married for 20 years or so. High school sweetheart come after 20 years in the town. What is she doing? There's no problem with that. There's no problem with that. We have people, married people, flirting with others. All kinds of stuff are going on today. Don't feel anything about, and the society is filled with people like that. Zimmerman says that those are warning signs that this culture is nearing extinction. And the 6th one, common acceptance of all forms of sex perversions. All kinds of perversion. Now think about a time in which we live. Perversion is very common. Look at young people. So listen to this. This is common with the believer's family as well as the other people. But the ratio may be a little different. We have men. I'm not joking. I'm not just fabricating stuff here. I'm telling some things that are really true. We have married men heavy into internet pornography, cyber pornography, big time. Now, boys, okay, I can challenge, I can tell. Statistics says that 80% or more boys into porn. All right, now these guys are having such a big problem. Some of them have developed addictions. These are the guys who get married. Once they get married, it's a big struggle now. Because all your images are very fresh in your head. And your wife cannot perform all those things. She cannot rise up to that. It is causing frictions in family. Women in chat rooms. A lot of women, men are not so much there. Women, a lot of them are in chat rooms. We have a lot of issues going on today. All kinds of perversions going on today. Look at all these things he said in 1947. Is happening today in our culture. And I can tell you, I strongly believe something is going to happen to our culture. I have things to say as more way of introduction, but I want to get back into our topic today and talk about different things here. Now, please do keep this in mind, that my focus today is to strengthen your families, your marriage. Peter tells us that husbands, live with your wives in an understanding manner. പുരുഷന്മാരോട് പറഞ്ഞിരിക്കുക, പുരുഷന്മാരെ നിങ്ങൾ എന്ത് ചെയ്യണം? വിവേകത്തോടുകൂടി ഭാര്യമാരോടുകൂടെ. Husbands, live with your wives. ഭർത്താക്കന്മാരെ, live with your wives in an understanding manner. That means you need to understand your spouse. I think that applies to both spouses. Wife, understand your husband. Husband, understand your wife. You know, there are times when people come home because family problems are going on. So I just give them a notepad to both of them. And I tell husband, I want you to write 5 dreams about your wife. നിന്റെ ഭാര്യയുടെ ഒരു 5 സ്വപ്നങ്ങൾ എന്തൊക്കെയാണെന്ന് എഴുതാവുന്നു. Most guys can't come up with more than 2. 2 is big number. A lot of guys don't even know. I said, maybe some fears of your wife. What are some of the things that she is fearing in life? അവരുടെ ഭയങ്ങളെക്കുറിച്ചും സ്വപ്നങ്ങളെക്കുറിച്ചും 2-3 ലിസ്റ്റ് തരാമെന്ന് വെച്ചാൽ they don't know. They simply don't know. Now they wanted to solve the family problem, but they don't understand their spouse. It's very important for us to understand those things. Now, let me start off with differences. Okay? Then I'll talk about differences in needs. Because unless you know the need of your spouse, you cannot meet the need. You should know what's the need of my wife, what's the need of a woman. Then you can meet the need of a woman, need of a man, meet the need of a man, so that your marriage will grow stronger. Understanding need is a key. Right? Okay. I use an analogy. This is called Love Bank. Every person sitting here has got a bank inside of you. It is called Love Bank. Love Sneha Bank is one bank. A lot of people got accounts in this bank. Okay? Now I'm more concerned about your spouse. നിങ്ങളുടെ ഭാര്യ ഭർത്താവിന് ഉള്ള അക്കൗണ്ടാണ്. Every time when you go to a bank, 2 things happens. Either you go there to make a deposit or you make a withdrawal. Most transactions are that. You make a deposit or make a withdrawal. And I would say like this. These are called love units. Let's say your husband made you a coffee this morning. Minnie, here it is. She felt so good. After all, he knew I was tired and he made a coffee. Whether it's got sugar, coffee powder, doesn't matter. You know, you felt very good. What should you do is actually, you have put love units into his account. Right? Can you put that in your account? Well, in the afternoon, I would say it was so good that you put 3 points. 3 is the maximum, I'm just saying. In the afternoon came. Your husband said something so nasty in front of the kids. And you felt so small that you made a huge withdrawal of 50 points. പിൻവലിച്ചത് 50 പോയിന്റ് you പറഞ്ഞത് ചെവി പൊട്ടുന്ന സാധനമാണ്. It took you so many weeks to build 50 points. It only took 1 minute to make a huge withdrawal. You see that? Now family problems happens when the account goes into the red. Minus. Okay? When everything is up, there's a great joy between each other. But when the account goes down, especially into the negative figures, you have serious family problems. Negatives. Every small thing you complain. I was reading a joke of a man who comes sit in the breakfast, a wife of breakfast and lucky. You don't know him. So you scramble both eggs. I didn't want it to be this way. I want one scrambled, the other one is easy over. So you scramble both. The next day, she actually scrambled one, easy over. So he came, looked at it. Oh, you scrambled the wrong egg. That's a complainer. There are people who are like that. Complaining. Wrong. He wants to say something. There are complainers. When you live with complainers, what happens? It's only withdrawals. You just simply cannot be a happy person anymore. You just make huge withdrawals. Some husbands are laughing. All right. Let's go. So I'm just teaching you some skills here. So we don't have a lot of time today. And I just want to give you a few things today. Number one, I want you to understand the differences between males and females. Okay? Then I want to talk about the needs of each other, so that you can meet the need. See, when what man call love is not what woman call love. They're two different stuff. Two different things. So you need to know. And you use same words, but it's got different meanings to both male and female. Okay, two different meanings. All right, now these are some common things, so I want to go a little fast. We understand man is a logical thinker, right? Men are usually logical. These are not absolute 100%, but these are general. Generally, men are logical thinkers. Women are like emotional feelers. Okay? You understand what that is? Women take things into the heart. They feel it first, right? You're not talking. Okay, you're here? Yeah, women tend to feel it here. I always use an example. Let's say you're married, you sit here, and you hear a news that somebody, very close relative of yours, met with an accident. They are, they're almost dying. They are in intensive care. Nobody knows whether they're going to make it or not. So I get the message. Let's say I call you out and give this message to you, both husband and wife. And you should look at the reaction. Who will cry most likely? Wife will cry. She will be crying. She will say, what happened to my dad, my brother, whoever it is. She will be crying. She's not thinking about anything at all. But the husband, he won't be crying. Let's say this is in New York. He'll be thinking about whether should I drive to New York, catch a flight, whether where would I drop the kid? Who's going to look after the kid? Should I stay here until Jacob Matthews finished with this talk? And this is so. What happened? The information has reached the man here. Vartha vidati. To the woman, it has reached here. You see the difference? It reached here, and the woman, it has reached here. Emotional level. She is not thinking about anything. She's not thinking about the airplane. She's not thinking about whether she has got money in the bank. She's not thinking about anything. But he's thinking about the dog. He's thinking about the cat, who's going to feed the cat. And the fish ball has not been washed in 2 days' time. And he's not thinking about any of the, that's what he thinks. She's not thinking about any of those things. But he is thinking a lot of these stuff. Bring it again. They're all smart than the Glora. Who's smart? Eh? But they both are smart. They both are different. Thank God for that. We need to thank God for our differences. See, what happens actually, what reached here will travel down after some time. What reached here will travel up after some time.
That may take longer time.
This one? Yeah, we don't know. Individual differences are there at times. But listen, if you are a feeler, both of you are feelers, can you ever imagine driving to New York? You cannot drive. You'll be crying all the time. But here when somebody cries, here is somebody who can look at the road signs and drive the car, get you to the destination. We want to thank God for the combination God has given us. The differences God. Differences can be a strength. We can use it. Alright? That's good enough. For a woman, language spoken is an expression of what she is feeling. Okay? Listen. She is speaking. It is basically an expression of what she is feeling. But to a man, language spoken is an expression of what he is thinking. Alright? Only just understand this stuff. Okay, the language that is heard by a woman is an emotional experience. But to a man, language heard is receiving of information. Put together, when you speak something to a husband, you are actually expressing your feeling. What is going on in your heart? And what is happening to him?
Okay.
Yeah. Is that it? Yeah. Everybody is like that. He just received some information from you. About
Receiving
new information. It's new information. And then you look at the face for him to show, honey, I'm so sorry to hear that. He said nothing.
He may be doing something in the computer.
That's it. You could be doing something in the computer, doing something, typing, all these things going on there. But good for you to know something. See, you can actually start a fight based on that. Look at this fellow. There's no feeling at all. He didn't hear. Did you hear what I said? Yeah, I heard. Now, it's good for us to know. See, men process things differently. You express it because you are expressing your feeling. For him, it's not the feeling that he is hearing. He is hearing information. So, ladies, take it easy.
Amen.
All right, that's good. I'm coming, man. I tell you, I'm coming.
I know it's coming.
Right, women tend to take everything personally. Men tend to take everything impersonally. It's just difference. There's nothing. You don't need to be a rocket scientist to figure this out. Women are interested in the details. The nitty-gritty stuff and very little. They are very particular about small details. Men interested in the principle, the abstract of stuff. They like the philosophy of things. It's like a book review. Men, it's like a book review. Women, they go through all the details, every little word everybody said. Okay, we are different. Alright, it says that man's mind is like a filing cabinet. Woman's mind is like a computer. Multitasking, right? Yeah, you have all the screens open. You're sitting here, but you're thinking about what's going to make for lunch. Or, too many things going on at the same time. But men are usually, it's like one after another. It's like a filing cabinet. There's some order to that. All right. Women tend to be involved more easily and more quickly than men do. They usually get involved, they talk to people. Men, they take time, they evaluate and see whether this guy is genuine, phony, and then slowly they get into it. All right? Men need to be told again and again. And women never forget. All right? Now, listen, there is something called intuitional difference between men and women. Intuitional difference on this called avabodhamari. We have 5 senses. Right? We touch, feel, hear, smell, taste. But there is a 6th sense. That's called intuition. Okay? Now, Stanford University has done a study, the neuropsych department. And they have come up with this statement. They said, women do catch subliminal messages faster and accurate than men. Okay? It's a scientific stuff. That means when something is wrong, who catches it first? The women. Men don't catch it very fast. Men are like tube lights when it comes here. It takes a little time. You just show you delay on these stuff, not everything, okay? So women do catch it first. They say, honey, I think there is something wrong with this whole thing. I don't feel very comfortable. There's something fishy about this whole thing. This person does not appear to be a genuine character. And you say, oh, you always say about my friends all the time. Anytime I bring somebody, you have something to say. This is best business deal for us. You have no idea. This is this is going to be of real good use. I don't think so. You're going to lose your $10,000, man. But what happens actually? You spend that $10,000. 6 months down the road, you figure out she was right. So, it is always advisable, since she has that capacity, before you spend anything, before you make a major decision, please consult with your wife. I've done seminars in different parts of the world. At this particular point, I can hear women saying, I can see men looking down. It's good, it's very good. Because the men, we have jumped into purchases that was not necessary. You burn your hands. You got into investments that are gone sour. You lost money on it. There are some men don't even consult their wives about anything. That's not good. There are some men who actually would sign the wife's paycheck and deposit. She doesn't get even sign the paycheck. So there are all kinds of people there, all kinds of, and she gets, he gives her like $20 every paycheck. When she keeps it up, $200, he will get it. Hey, you have some money? Yeah. That's gone by the wind. So remember that's a difference, intuitional difference. Okay. Then you also need to understand there are physical differences. This has been documented by American Institute for Family Relations, and there's a person by the name of Dr. Paul Popenu. He did a very extensive study about the physical difference between males and females. And we understand the general differences. But remember, women have got 20% less red cells than men. 20% less. It's the red cells that actually carries the oxygen. So അതുകൊണ്ടാണ് ഒരേ തൂക്കമുള്ളൊരു ഭാര്യയും ഭർത്താവിനും the man and the woman the same weight, and you give them a work to do. Who gets tired first? Huh? They get tired. And I've seen and I heard some very insensitive husbands, men, who make comments that broke the heart of women. It could be in any language. മലയാളത്തിലാണ് അവർ പറയും, She is good for nothing. Look at all, this is all too much chamba. So what happens actually, she is so hurt because he does not realize that though we both are same in weight, height, whatever it is, I get tired because even on the other side is actually even the brute strength, the muscles. It says that men has 40% more muscles than women. So there's no wonder why the Bible says women are very fragile. You have to make sure that they're a vessel that needs a lot of attention. You should handle them like the way you handle crystal. Crystal handle Stridhanam, Balahina, and women don't like the verse scripture, but that's okay. The truth is actually, they are weaker. The weaker vessel, all it means is actually, they are very precious, but they should be handled very carefully. That's what it means. And there's so many differences. It says that women have comparatively larger kidneys than men. Okay? And the ability to handle heat, withstand heat. Women can withstand heat a lot better than men. So there are a lot of physical differences. There are emotional differences. Women are feelers, men are thinkers. Intuitional differences. I said about that. Then there's a difference called the way in which you handle stress. Is stress handling another? I'll give you an example. Men, let's say something went wrong in your office. Let's say you were working on a project, didn't work. And your boss said, you didn't meet the deadline, this is not good, this is such a sloppy work, I'm not pleased with this. And what happens? That evening you come home. You have your laptop and you come home, park your car, come inside, throw your bag to the side, you sit on a couch, look through the window as if for the very first time you're looking at the nature. So the wife comes, honey, what's wrong? Nothing. No, it seems like something wrong. Something happened in your office? No. I can tell you, I've been staying with you for 10 years. I know there's something wrong today. Can you shut up? Leave me alone. What happened? She get hurt. Right? See, there's a fundamental difference between men and women handle stress. It says that and you know that Dr. John Gray's book, Men Are From Mars, Women Are From... How many of you read that book? You should get the book and read. It's an old book though. Pretty old, but there are so many books that have come after that. Men are from Mars, women are from... That means they come from two different worlds. We are so different the way we think. See, in men's world, what happens actually is something goes wrong with us. We don't want to talk about it. We don't want to talk about it. It's like opening that wound again. Every time that I'm asked to speak about some humiliating things, it's like you put some salt into my wound. I'm humiliated. I feel sad, down, let down. I don't want to talk about my failures. So I would rather keep quiet and process it slowly and I'll come. It says like when man faces a stress, he goes into a cave. That's how they process. They go into the cave, sit there for a couple of days, they figure out who should talk to. I cannot talk to so-and-so. So let me see who I talk to. So he sits there, figure out a way. And what happens, a lot of women do when they see man goes into the, they smoke him out. Don't do that, let him sit there. But men, one thing you should do when you go into the cave, put a small notice at the entrance of the cave, says, be still and know, I'm here, husband. I'll be back. Okay? It's nice for you to tell your husband, your wife, honey, I'm going through some difficult time, so I'll be okay, just give me some time, let me process it out. That's the best thing to do. If you don't talk about it, she'll smoke you out. You'll be very angry with her. But women are very different. So men, if you don't talk about it, you'll process it faster. Women, the more you talk, the faster you can process. So what happened? The minute you get off your office, you call, hey, you know what happened? This lousy guy in my workplace, this boss, he's just a creep, and you just call him all this kind of... You talk to 10 different people, by the time you come home, you pretty much handled it. The more you talk, more faster it gets up. That's the way you process. And you expect that same thing from your husband. So you come up, come, tell me. Naturally, you go. So what happens? The less you talk, it's easier for you to handle. So please understand. But both need to understand this stuff. And when your wife asks more questions, please, husbands, understand that that's how they handle this in their world. So give them grace and time. Just tell them, I'm okay. If you can share, share. On the other side, you can tell them. If he's not telling you, it's nothing to do with you. You're okay. Just tell him, I know you're going through a difficult time, but if you feel comfortable, you can talk to me. But I just don't understand. So there's a difference in which we handle stress. So I said many things here. Then there are sexual difference between men and women. When I talk about the need, I'll probably expound on it a little bit more. There's a lot of difference between. See, for women, their sexuality is not constant. Their sexuality changes almost every day. They experience seasons. For men and their sexuality, it is very constant. 365 days, it's constant. It does not change. And women, it's like season. Today is different, tomorrow it's going to be different, day after it's going to be different. Their sexuality is changing. And then when they reach a certain age, they go through a process called menopause. They go through a change. And then what happened? Their drive is diminished so much, and they're not interested in relationships anymore. They're tired, they have hot flash, all kinds of stuff that's going on. So what happens actually, man in his 50s or even 60s, he has not changed. He's still the same guy. But he is a woman. Physically, she cannot keep up with it. You don't understand it, you got trouble in the house. So there are sexual differences in between male and female. Time difference, age difference. So look at all these different things. There are so much of difference. There are emotional differences, physical differences. The way in which we handle stress is different. Sexual differences are there. So all kinds of differences. I'm just saying these things so that you will understand that we both, though we call ourselves humans, we are different in many ways. Another one about difference. This is actually called how we score. നമ്മൾ മാർക്ക് ഇടുന്നതിൽ വ്യത്യാസം. The way in which we value things. For example, I'm just using an example here. Let's say, I'm using Paulson for example. Paulson decided to buy your wife drives? Okay. Paulson decided to buy his wife a beautiful car. Real good one. Okay, something that she always talk about. Alright? Nice car, nice color. I don't know if it's Mercedes, Lexus, or whatever it is. I'm just saying, let's say Paulson spent, Paulson spent something like to the tune of $50,000. I'm just saying he decided to buy her a nice car. And brings her to the driveway and, surprises her with this car. And she was so excited about this whole thing. So Paulson gets a hug and said, honey, thank you so much for buying this. Good. Next week, let's say you found your wife very sick at home. So Paulson gets up in the morning, makes her a tea or coffee, whatever is her preference, and brings it to her, and you go to the office. Let's say it takes you 30 minutes to get to the office. So on the way, Paulson calls her every 10 minutes. So you made 3 calls in that journey alone. He said, did you take the medicine? You take rest, I wish I could stay home today, but I had to go have this project, have this meeting this afternoon. So at 12 o'clock, you decided you have a meeting at 12 until lunchtime. So you call her and say, I'm going to the meeting for next hour, I'm not available. So by 1:30, 2 hours, so you call her again, are you okay? Then you fine. So that same day, Paulson called her maybe 15 times. Okay? And you understand, 15 telephone calls in the US doesn't cost you much money. Really, let's say $5. $2. 2 weeks ago, he spent $50,000 and bought her a car. Now to the ladies, let me ask you this question. Here is a $50,000 worth of car. And on the other side, starting with bed coffee in the morning, 15 passionate telephone calls to you. I want you to score out of 100. How much will you give for the car, and how much will you give for 15 passionate telephone calls? Which one will be greater, more influential in your life? Do you hear that, men?
No.
It's nice to have texting sometimes.
Texting also. I'm just texting, calling, whatever works. Whatever works. So there's a difference here. You spent $50,000, but listen here. You have $5. $5 മുടക്കിയോ? But look at, she appreciates this so much. Not that she doesn't like the car. She likes the car. Because I'm just saying, man, there's a cheaper ways to make your woman happy, man. $5. Lot of stuff, things like that. Listen very carefully. There's a difference here. Difference is this. And ladies, you also need to understand this. To men, this is what they think. When they buy something, they said, we have to give something really big. So they spend some good amount of money and buy his wife a gift. Because you give something, you have to give something really solid. But women, it's not that they don't like solid stuff. They like solid stuff. They like car, they like stuff. But what they need is actually frequent. The word frequency is the key. Frequently. And you cannot frequently give car. You cannot frequently take her to a restaurant all the time. But listen here, frequency means a lot of stuff. It could be a telephone call. It could be a texting. Or it could be a yellow sticky note. Hello, sticky note, and says on it, Lucy, I love you so much. And put it on the mirror when she comes in. Look at that child, is so loving. See, he wrote to me, I'm so precious to him, and put in places where she can see, leaving a message, taking her for a surprise restaurant, beyond McDonald's. The only place called is, let's go, Mickey D. You must go to a place and take her out sometime. Sit with her alone. Women want something that is on a regular basis. Regularity is a key. What men think is actually, it was last month that I spent $200 on her. So something must be in the bank still, Love bank should be full. I'll tell you something, love bank is not full. So you want it to be wise in the way we do things. It has to do with the way in which men and women handle things. Right? Now what do I say I said all these things so that you understand there's a difference between males and females. Understanding your spouse is a key thing. Very important stuff. Now, I'll switch and we'll talk about the needs. And then I will kind of give you a short break so you could ask me questions. Or you can go out and grab some stuff, make a coffee and all. All right. Now, okay, I need some help here. I need volunteers here, okay? All right, now, this is just for us to understand this. So what's your name, brother? Yeah, Bibin. Bibin, good. Bibin, can you tell me 5 needs of a woman? No help. No, I don't want anyone to help. Okay, I'm just. At least you tell one. That'll be enough. I'll ask 5 people, so that'll be all. Yeah.
Women in general?
Yeah, women in general. You're not talking about your wife. I'm just saying women in general. But the most important is the woman that you know is your wife. So it doesn't matter. Yeah. Tell one need of a woman.
We want that person to be with them pretty much whenever they go through any change, like any difficulties, they want the husband to be the backbone,
Okay. Shall we call it support?
Yeah.
Good, that way. All right, now, you tell me another one.
I believe that they should be given more importance.
The needs of a woman, they should be given
More importance compared to other people.
Okay, so they should be treated specially, right?
That's right, yeah.
Good. All right, now, Raju.
They expect more love from you.
So
They love you, and their husbands should be lovey-dovey.
Okay, all right. Love. All right. So the person who is bowing his head can say. Yeah.
They need everything in detail that we have to explain from. If I say something briefly, she wants everything. Explanation. Yeah.
Detailed explanation.
Detailed explanation.
Okay. All right, now.
And the jokes.
Jokes this time. Yeah.
Everything should talk each other and
Openness, right? Should be open about this. Now you tell me, you can have one more. One more need.
more caring.
More caring. Okay. All right, in the back. You can actually say, you have 2, 3 men in the back, you can say one each. Come on. No, you're not, you can listen to all this. Someone, the person who's behind you.
they need more love.
More love. Somebody said that already, so let's get something else. Wife, don't help. More listening. Huh?
They need more listening.
More listening. Okay, good. Yeah. All right, brother.
Out of ideas.
Huh? Out of ideas. Okay, hope we'll get some ideas today. All right, ladies, now, men, you can breathe now. Take a deep breath. Take it easy now. All right, ladies, now, I want you to tell me, I need some 6, 7, maybe volunteers here. Tell me needs of men.
Honor,
Huh?
good food,
Good food, okay.
taking care of the household. Yeah, because men usually don't. Most of the times they're working outside. So
Okay,
they
household
respect
stuff, okay,
household
support,
stuff.
okay.
Respect and honor.
Respect and honor, okay.
Honesty.
Honesty, okay.
They would like to be appreciated.
They like to be appreciated, all right.
Absent.
decisions. They don't like to be interfered.
Okay, so leave them alone. Leave them alone. Okay. Now, listen, Grace.
They like to be loved and cared.
They love to be loved and cared. Okay, sisters.
Control.
Control? Control? Okay, that's fine. Yeah, we're just talking, we're just learning, yeah.
Openness.
Openness? All right.
They need their me time. They need their time alone.
They need that time alone. Leave them alone. All right. Okay, sister.
Trustworthy.
Okay, trustworthy. Who should be trustworthy?
Yes. Here we are asking about the need of.
Yeah, the need of a man, yeah.
They want women to be trustworthy.
Okay. All right. Good. You're all very good, actually. You're very good, very smart people. You're thinking right. All right, listen. Let me just start with the needs of the ladies first, not the whole thing. I'll take one for you, and I'll take one of needs of men. Okay? Now, listen. This is all for men. This is not necessarily my own ideas, but this is also my idea, but things that I've gathered, things that pretty much available for all of us to understand. One of the first needs, there's a little difference between surveys that I've read, but most surveys pretty much go in line with what I'm just trying to say here. Number one, first need of a woman, that all men need to understand. They want something called affection. Everybody say, all men say affection.
Affection.
That's a need of a woman. You know what affection is? Ladies, don't tell. Affection is still love. Okay, it's in the family of love. Affection is love with eyes, ears, heart, muscle, willingness. Okay, love that expresses itself. And I want to tell you, ladies, that's the hardest thing we face. Okay, that's one of the tough challenges men face. Okay, it's very hard for men have to learn to love, for sure. Men's love is always in their heart. You ask any husband. A lot of women, one of the main complaints women make is actually, you don't love me, or you don't know how to love. You don't show love. Men will say, you should look at my heart. My heart, you cut open, look at it, every little fiber will say, I love you. Ladies are in, keep it with you, you can take it with you when you go. But what's the use of having that love when you don't express it? Okay? Now listen, that's a subject that needs some attention, some clarity. Men, I want you to know something. When I stand here also, I'm still a student of love. I still learn. One of the things why I'm very passionately interested in family matters is actually, after we got married, probably 2-3 years down the road, right from the very beginning, I wanted to be that good husband, trying to do things. My wife, she told me one day that, you don't know how to love. Okay? And I asked myself, I'm trying everything possible. I'm trying to be the good man. I cut grass. Vacuum whenever possible, bring home a paycheck and do this, that, no. So I decided to say, he said, come on, sit down, honey, I need to talk to you. I don't want you to say this anymore. Tell me what ways I can love you. What else can I do that you will change the way you say about my love? We had a conversation that day. But I tell you, that opened my eyes to the real world of what a woman means love. That was the best conversation we had. Because what I thought about love was something that is my expectation about love. And I understood that is not her expectation about love. Her love is so different than mine. And since that day onwards, I decided that there are a lot of men like me who may be very genuine, but still not meeting the needs of their spouses. So maybe I should study more, maybe I should do more research on this issue. Maybe I should talk, maybe I should go and share this with people. Since that day I've been learning, I've been asking, I've been reading, I've been attending seminars, and I've been sharing that with men. It's been a blessing to so many men. Listen guys, best thing I tell you is actually, ask your wife, what can I do to make you a more happy person? How can I love you more? Because your mission has to be, mission is to make her happy. If she is not happy, there is nobody happy. So he said, if mama ain't happy, ain't nobody happy. Right? So you make sure that she's happy. Do your very best. Make a commitment. I'm going to make sure that she's a happy woman. So many things. See, there are each woman is different, okay? Each woman is different. Their needs are different. I remember many years ago, this is a story that I say, some years ago when I was in Dallas, once my wife called me in my office, and she says, Zata, she has a cousin who works in the same hospital as a pharmacist. She called and said, oh, it is her wedding anniversary, and her husband sent her, 24 beautiful roses. It's sitting right on the table. Everybody's looking at it. Can you imagine the typical Kerala brain of mine, what I was thinking? I don't know how much this fool must have spent. Times 46. You multiply with 46 rupees and say, man, 3,000 rupees. I'm not spending that kind of money. And I missed the whole point. My wife's birthday is actually in February. So, she kind of reminds me at least a month in advance. So one day she asked me, what is special about next week, next month? Men, we don't keep up all these things. Yeah, but next month, somehow it clicked. I said, it's your birthday. She was so happy. She said, I'm glad you remember. He said, praise the Lord. I'll tell you what happened. And that day came. I forgot. I went to work. I was busy at work. Didn't get a chance. And she works actually from 3 and she comes home by 11 o'clock. So 11 o'clock, I heard the garage door opening. I went there, opened the door, and trying to greet her, and she comes inside, pretty serious. She came inside, she went around the house, looked around. She went to the bathroom, just cleaned herself, and went to the bed, pulled the blanket on. I thought she was sick. So I said, honey, what happened? Are you sick? She said, no, I'm fine. When a woman says, I'm fine, there's something wrong with her. I said, oh, what's wrong? I'm okay. Just leave me alone. I need some time. And finally she said, I reminded you and you said you remember. You didn't call me. You didn't pray for me. You didn't send a card. And I tell you, I was so broken. I was so humiliated. I felt so I felt that I let her down so much. But I tell you, since that day, I have never forgotten her birthday. It's in February, I celebrate in January. Now you have all these computer programs, you have children. Now that I have children, they'll take care. No problem. They say, Dad, don't forget this. Men don't care their birthdays. It's not a big deal for men. So women is very important stuff. Men, who cares? I got 2 birthdays actually. I don't know which one is which. So the certificate says one thing, actual one is different. Okay, stop there. So men really don't care, but women, that's very important. Anniversaries are very important for them. You know, some in Valentine's Day is also very important for them. You know, there are a lot of people. Women are different in their way. They and also, you know, the way you address them. In Malayalam they call Edi, Bravadi, Nurvadi, Nilam. Some women don't like that. I think that kind of an addressing needs to stop. Call them by name. And you can call her some nice names. Okay? There's something funny, you know, very. And there's a pastor there who knows me, and he used to attend my classes, and so my wife thought she would give him a call just to know the daughter is there. She comes, take care of her now. So she calls him. She doesn't know her, you know, that well. So he calls her, and she said, "Do you know who is this? This is Jacob Matthews' wife." Yes, I know. You're Money Andy Allen. She said, "No, I'm not Money Andy. You're not Money Andy." She said, "No, but I heard that you're Money Andy." No, actually, the reason is this. He has heard me call my wife Money. My wife's name, her name is Shaija, but I call her Money. So I think somehow he must have picked up, you know, the way that I call and address her. Now he thinks that's her name, my wife's name. Now I think you should have a special name for your wife too. Call her some nice honey, money, and you should call her when somebody else is listening. That's the problem. We call Money when the light goes off. I tell you, they don't hear it. They don't hear it. Light to you should call her when the light is on, in the midst of people. You're not ashamed of her. Women love those things. That's affection. You know, I see men, you know, this lady is carrying, one hand carrying the kid, the diaper bag on the other side. The guy is just playing with this keychain. He's going to the car. Here is a woman carrying the bag, and he goes sit in the car. Kara. Get inside. I mean, guy, you should go carry that child, put the baby into the car, open the door for a woman to get inside. It means a lot to the woman. When are you going to learn all this stuff? Well, that's why my father never did it, my grandfather never did it. So, same thing, I want to carry the family tradition. This is time to break those traditions apart. I mean, you know, affectionate names. These are all something that is really needed. Nice conversation. Ask a woman, she can tell you 101 ways to love. You know, there is something called languages of love. You heard of the 5 languages, love languages? Dr. Gary Chapman's book. It's a good book to read. He says that a language has... See, unless you speak in a language that the other person understands, they will not get it. Okay, let's say I'm a Russian, your neighbor. I was trying to make an omelette this morning, and somehow the gas got on fire, everything else is burning. And I'm just out in your house knocking on the door, trying to get some help. And I'm speaking to you in Russian. Say, come help, and got fire in my house, but all I know is Russian. But then you husband and wife came out and you look at her. Hey Lali, it's nice for us to learn some Russian. That's nice, right? Nice to hear that. For you it is nice, but my house is burning. What? I'm serious, I'm true, I'm genuine, but you don't get what I say because you didn't communicate in a language that I understand. Languages of love. Listen, this applies to both of you, okay? Both husband and wife. Okay. One way of expressing, one language of love is actually called words of affirmation. Okay? Words of affirmation. Encouraging words. Affirming the other person. Alright? encouraging other person. When you encourage your husband, he understands you love him. When you encourage your wife, she understands he loves me. Words of affirmation. Number 2, spending time. Did you hear that? What is it called? Spending time. Spending time is very important. Because when you really love something, what happens? You spend time with it, right? Just imagine that when you bought that first dream car of yours, and you wash it, you polish it, right? I mean, you spend time with things that you love. When you say your wife, I love you, but you have no time for her, you don't spend time with her, she does not understand love. Same thing with him also. So spending time. Number 3 is physical touch. Another way of expressing love is physical touch. Okay? Nammude sparshanam. Alright? Physical touch is one of them. The third one is actually helping, the fourth one is helping out. Helping out. Trying to help out with different things. There are men who say, honey, I love for you. And she will say, can you take this trash and keep it on the road? Oh, I have no time. I'll die for you, but I don't have time to carry the trash, throw the trash. She doesn't understand it. You say you love me, but you don't do a little thing. You don't help out. Okay, fifth one is called receiving gifts. So these are 5 love languages. So what are the 5 love languages? Tell me, repeat. Words of affirmation, spending time, receiving gifts, physical touch, helping out. You hear that? Now, I'm going to ask you, I want you to be honest, okay? Listen, out of this 5, one of them will be top. That will be the dominating needs of your spouse. Then you see the second one, the third priority, okay? Now, I want you to just think about it. And can you just tell me, honestly, what do you think is the dominating need, or dominating love language? Your love language. In your case, you need to understand what is your wife's. For men, what is your wife's dominating love language? The first 2. Women, you should, if you can tell me your husband's dominating love language. Who can be the volunteer? Someone who knows. Come on. Yeah.
Affirmation.
Affirmation.
And spending time.
Okay. Affirmation, spending time. She thinks that's the dominating love language of a husband. Right? Now, can husband respond?
Spending time.
Yeah, okay, that's okay. Paulson says in his case, his wife is spending time with her is number 1 love language she understands. Then helping out. Good. Paulson's wife, can you respond to him and say, what do you think his 2 love languages are? അദ്ദേഹത്തിന്റെ dominating love language ഈ 5 ഏതിലാ ഏറ്റവും കൂടുതൽ പുള്ളി ഇത് മനസ്സിലാക്കുന്നത് that you love him? പഠിക്കണമെങ്കിൽ ഇച്ചിരി സമയം എടുത്തോ. Okay, other men, anybody else? നിങ്ങൾക്ക് ഒരു ഇച്ചിരി ഷൈ ആണെന്ന് തോന്നുന്നു ഇതൊക്കെ പറയാൻ.
Words of affirmation and helping out.
Words of affirmation and helping out. Okay. Good. ഇപ്പൊ നിങ്ങൾ 2 ആളുകളുടെ dominating love language ഒന്നാണല്ലോ. She also said words of affirmation. Positive words are very good. Key for you. It doesn't have to be everybody's. Yeah. All right. Anybody else with a different? It shouldn't be the same. If we're all saying there's something like you're all dying. Okay, para. Oh. You should be knowing. Otherwise, I don't know, because this is very important. See, now listen. Listen. I'm going to give that as an exercise for you to do today. If you don't know, you can sometime ask. Out of this 5, Angela, which way when I respond to you that you really feel more loved? Okay? To some women, it is touch. When a husband embraces her, hold her hand, they like to hold hands. Not all the time. That means it's not your dominating love language. When it is a dominating love language for women, they like their husband to hold them. Okay, so some women, they love to see their husband hold them. And that's the way they understand. See, it means that they are not ashamed. That's the message it gives them. But some men, they hold hands. When she says, finally he says, okay. And as soon as he passed, he passed away. That's all it is. It lasts only for a moment. But I'm just saying, that's a dominant love language. It's different for each person. Okay? So what I'm trying to say is that you need to identify what is your wife's first dominant love languages, at least 2 of them, and try to express love more in that language. And she understands this a lot better. Did you hear the secret? Okay? So identify what is your wife's dominant love language and try to show love. Some people it is receiving gifts. You decided to, when you go somewhere, you decide to buy her something that's worth $100. You decide to buy chocolates, Belgium chocolates from somewhere, UK. You brought her this thing. I thought I'll buy you this. She goes, why did you spend this money? That means that is not her. Receiving gift is not the dominant love language. But she probably would spending time is maybe her love language. Pastor, we don't spend much time, but we spend quality time. To those people, I have a small question to ask you. Let's say I'm going to give you a pizza. I'm going to make a pizza. It's in the size of this button, with all kinds of toppings on it. This is quality stuff. But you will be happy with that stuff? We also need what? Quantity. Quality matram bola namakku endu venam? Yes, it has to be quantity. I mean, you should spend time. So I would ask you, you go home today, spend time with your wife or your husband. Talk to one another and see. If you're really missing something, if you don't know what's a dominant love language, ask him. Ask him. Acha njan idil edi reethiyil respond cheyyumbol achane ettavum sandosham thonnu. Out of this 5, which way when I respond to you, that you feel more fulfilled and happy. Listen to him and try to do it more. Okay? So that's the first need of a woman. Men, tell me. First need of a woman.
Words of affirmation.
Affection. So I'm still in point number 1. Okay, first need of a woman is called affection. I'll say one more thing with women. Second need of a woman is called conversation. Every woman, this is majority women, okay? I'm not saying all 100%. Next one is called conversation. Women like a husband to talk. They like it. That's also some problem with some men, because they're not necessarily talkers. The fathers are not talkers. Grandfather was not a talker. My dad was not a talker. I'm not a talker. I'm here. But she says talk. You know how extramarital affairs happen? This is in every case. I'm just giving a principle why extramarital affairs develop. These are needs. I'm just saying go and list all these needs. Needs are needs. It must be met. Do you hear that? Affection is a need must be met. Who should meet the need? If wife has a need, that's affection. Who should meet the need? Husband also needs affection, but in his list it's way below. Woman, it is number 1. Husband, when you don't show love to your wife, you know what happens? I tell you. Nobody gets up in the morning, look in the mirror and say, I'm going to make an affair today. It doesn't work that way. It does not work that way. You just happen to run into somebody who are very gracious, very positive, very uplifting. They're so nice, the way they respond, the way they treat you, they're very encouraging, uplifting, affirming. What happens to you is actually, without you knowing, your heart reaches out to them just to appreciate their traits. What happens if you're not careful? It could develop into a affair. Doesn't take much time. But who was responsible to begin with is a husband who deprived her of love and affection that she really wants. But that does not give her a license to develop another relationship. But husbands need to realize that it's your job, men. You need to show love, because that's a dominant need of a woman. You need to show love. Nobody else. I shouldn't be showing love to your wife. That's not my calling. You should do it. Okay? Because you want to have a happy home. You must do it. And the second need of a woman is conversation. Spend time. What is there to talk? Can look at when, especially when before the marriage, let's say it's an American where here you find your own boy or a girl, husband and wife. Think about the time that you spend, okay? And we have a couple here, we'll be getting married very soon. Look at the time they spend, look at when people, every opportunity they get, they wanted to be in touch here, texting or calling, or what is it, they'll say, hey son, what are you doing? It's 10 o'clock, it's 12 o'clock, go to sleep now. Because they always talk, There's so much of things to talk. Then what happens once they get married? You cannot keep up that pace, right? It diminishes. 4 hours dwindle down to 2, 6 months have gone down to 1, and a year goes. Now you tell me, out of all these husbands, how many of you have 15 minutes of heart-to-heart conversation with your wife or a husband? Raise your hand.
Is it daily or once a
Daily.
Okay.
Every day you have 15 minutes of heart-to-heart conversation. Raise your hand. Yeah, I know one brother raised his hand. He put it down. He's honest. He's honest about his stuff. The truth is, the survey really tells us actually, we are not having 15 minutes of conversation. We are having question and answers. Have you seen this? Have you seen that? Is the breakfast ready? When do you want me to pick the kids? Where do you want me to be dropped? It's not conversation. It's not conversation. Conversation is another topic that we should pick it up. But conversation is very interesting. There is something called conversation called cliche level. Okay, let's say two people. We say, good morning. Every time Americans see you, they say, good morning. In Texas, they say, howdy. But they don't mean for you to say, well, I remember first time when I came to US, people asked me, how are you? I said, I'm doing great. He's gone by the time. Not interested. That's called cliche, okay? They don't really mean anything. And I just stand here up and say, what a lovely day. Okay? So that's just a cliche level. It's not conversation. Conversation, but that's a ladder of conversation. You stand there, oh, and you tell the next thing that you say, seems like it's going to rain. Okay? So from cliche level, it moved up to information. It's rainy, it's going to rain. Then I take a little further. I don't like rain. I don't like rain. Then I go a little further. Rainy, dark days makes me very sad. And I remember years ago when I was a 15-year-old girl coming back from school. I was going through this village and it started raining and there was this abandoned house. I went there and these two guys came and I was so terrified. I was so afraid the way they looked at me. They were coming closer to me. I just jumped out, ran through the rain, and I had to run almost a kilometer before I get into another house. Ever since that day, I hate rain. You see that conversation, it has reached a place where heart is pouring out, where your hearts are connecting to each other. You see the conversation level? That is called heart-to-heart talk. We never reach there. We usually share information or cliche, move on. Healthy family life needs heart-to-heart talk. Okay? That's very important. You know, husbands, when you come back from work and ask you, how's your day, honey? How are you with the kids? Everything going okay? You doing okay? You know, how are you? You know, just sit and start out. You may want to talk to her. Every day I see her, you know, I talk to her. And when calling from home, women are the ones who actually call from work more than men. They call. And you pick up the phone and you say, how are you? How is it? No, I'm doing okay. There's so many things to ask. Yes, okay. Okay then. He's ready to put the phone down in 2 sentences. She called because she wants to talk. But he wants to end as soon as possible, because maybe he's watching some game or he's doing something else and he's on his computer time. But woman needs conversation. You know, let me tell you something. You really go to college campuses or anywhere else, you see some beautiful women going out with just guys that look like monkeys. Sorry for using that term, I didn't mean it that way. You know, not so good looking men. But these are stunningly beautiful girls. If you really look and find out how did they find? She'll tell you a secret. This guy knows how to talk. He's a good... See, women tilt towards men who talks nice. Because that's a need in them. You hear that? So guy, better learn to talk. Talk about something. And then you should have something to talk about, something common interest. You know, that's a need of a woman. Okay? It's a need of a woman. So what's the second? First is affection, second one is? So if you guys are not in the habit of talking, please start talking. Go somewhere, go for a walk together and talk. There are some people, on the first thing. Why you sit with her? Don't use that. Don't try to call if you don't have to call. You know, that's a small, close space. Best time to talk. So build on that. So those are 2 things. There's still 3 more things. We'll talk about that. Ladies, listen. 2 things that I want to say. One is, one of the first needs of men. There's one group of surveys that I've seen. It's a respect, that is number 1. Another group of survey that says it's a sexual satisfaction. I think both are pretty much on the top level, so I would address both of them. Okay, now, this is absolutely important one. Men are sexual beings. All of us are sexual beings, but that's a dominant need in men. Okay? Now, if I were to list 5 things, sexual satisfaction is not even the 5th one for females. It is much below in terms of priority. But for men, it's on the... And when I say this, please don't get it's 100% that way in general. For men, that is the top number 1 priority. It's right there. Now listen here. When I say this, I know you're a very mature audience. Take it in good spirit. Bible actually, there are some people who think that, that's a sin, and they pray before they go to bed. They pray, Lord, lead us not into temptation, deliver us from evil. You don't need to pray such prayer. God created us as sexual beings. You have freedom within a framework called marriage. Avivaham endu parayunna pittikkagathu madilinagathu God has given you the freedom. Sex, if you really look at Bible, There are three reasons why God gives us sex. One is called procreation. God has given us made us sexual beings so that we can have children. And the second one is actually God also given that as recreation. Yes, delight yourself, enjoy or delight. It's within marriage God has given. God is not shy about it. Third one is actually called, it is a spiritual union. It's a way in which two people come together, fuse together. Sex is it's a dirty word today. People perverted it, it's got different meaning. But it is a way in which two people come together. That's God's way of bringing two lives together. രണ്ടുപേരെ ഒന്നാക്കാനുള്ള മെക്കാനിസത്തിനകത്ത് ഒരു ശക്തമായ ഒരു എലമെന്റ് ആണ് it's a sex. In God's way, it's bringing two people together. Because Bible tells us that Jesus says, he who goes to a prostitute becomes one with her. You simply cannot walk away. Part of you has gone with her. Part of her has come with you. It is that relationship to bring two people together. Now, I use an analogy. You know why a lot of families are falling apart in the U.S., especially among the Western American white or whatever the white-black community. A lot of divorces happens. The reason is this. It says that by the time they pass high school, 80 to 90% of young people have had sexual relationship at least once. 90%. Okay? It is 90%, and I tell you, multiple times they've had relationships. And what happened? So that was the high school thing. That was over. They go to college. They had a relationship with other people. Dating always ends up in some kind of a physical relationship. And what happens finally when they get married? It's like a sellotape, scotch tape. I take a piece of scotch tape, stick it on here, and then I pull it out. I stick it on here, take it out, stick it on here. But I just use the same tape, pull it out. And imagine I'm trying to stick something that is heavy or onto the wall using the same tape. Will it stay? Because it's not an English word, but I use it. You have lost that bondability. So they are married together. There's nothing that holds them together. Because what happened? What should hold them together has been used with different people in different relationships. You get the point? Positive side of it is actually, this is to bring two people together. Okay? It's very important. Now, I'm just being a little more open here with you people. I always encourage people. I know America, we don't have too many people to look after our children. Listen, if you don't have small children, your children are in school, you can drop them to school and go to work and pick them up when you come back. Or somebody else can pick them up. I would encourage you, ladies, if you can take a daytime job, spend that evening with your husband, sleeping in the same bed, it is good for you. I know job is easy, maybe a little more less tense than working during daytime, but for the sake of your marriage, I would encourage you, if possible, sometimes it's not possible, if possible, you take a daytime job, spend the time with your husband in your home. Because some of you are young, very soon you will run out of your time, run out of your energy. You will go into the phase of menopause. You will go to a point where you don't have. And I want you to know something. Your 55-year-old husband, 45-year-old or 65, 60-year-old husband is still physically capable. His sexual drive is still strong. But it diminishes after some time. But women do catch up with the age faster. And when the time that God has given you Make the best use of it. You know what happens if we are not there emotionally, and if somebody who is a shaky spiritual life, what happens? He goes, his wife is not here, nobody is here, I feel so lonely. He might watch some TV. When he watches some TV, he sees some things there in the TV, that gets his hormones going, and he goes into his computer. You know, it's all fingertips away, anything is there. Anything is there. Just type in that 3-letter word, whatever it is there. He watches, he lies, he lusts over it, he closes it. Only when somebody comes to repair your PC, you understand what the places where he has gone. And what happened? You're out there making the $2 more in the workplace. Look at what devil puts into his head. I'm not trying to terrify, but I'm telling you something. These are the practical things that have destroyed families. Why are you making all this money so that you can live right? One day you'll retire. You'll die by that time. There's only one life to live. One life. You make up all this money for your kids. They'll say, that's your job. You take care of me. Give me money. They'll dust off and go. But you left your time with your husband. You never took care of him. Never took care of your wife. You never had life together. And you spoiled your whole life. Take care of each other. Okay? You know, I say these things. I've been labeled as so many things. You know, people say, why he talks about all this different? It's not fitting for... It is fitting. It is fitting. I must say it. And I'm not ashamed of it. I'm within the boundaries of Scripture. I'm saying this to you. Someone should speak these things to you. Take care. Take care. Anything outside marriage is wrong. It's a sin. You cannot flirt with another woman over the phone. Bible says you look at a woman with a lustful eye, you're committing adultery. You look at a man with a lustful eye, you're committing adultery. When you deprive a man, you are opening doors for him to fail. When you don't show love to your wife and talk to her and meet those two needs, you are actually allowing her to develop a relationship. But she didn't want to, but she is forced to do it. But you have no escape, but you will face judgment. Bible പറയുന്നുണ്ട് നാം പറയുന്ന ഓരോ നിസ്സാര വാക്കിനും ന്യായവിധിവസം എന്ത് ചെയ്യും? The day of judgment, we have to give account for every word that we say. Well, if that is true with adults, that's true with young people too. Any kind of sexual relationship before marriage is also sin. This is one of the reasons I always say, young people, they have to be very careful. When you develop a relationship earlier, you want it to be together. When you're together, what happens? You're away from the eyes of civilization. You would think, oh, this is a girl that I like, this is a guy that I like, and you probably would cross the limits because hormones take over. So you don't want to go there. You don't want to create that kind of a scene because you will end up dishonoring God. And we'll feel the pain that way. Okay? Now, second need of a man is actually called respect. Okay? Respect. Now, ladies, listen here. If you don't get love, you're upset, right? When men don't get respect, they are very upset. Very upset. Right, men? Doesn't matter, you might make more money than them. But I tell you something, you don't respect a man, you got trouble in the house. It's a very serious stuff. Now, listen. There was a survey done, and this is a question that gave. Think about what these two negative experiences would be like. Okay, 1. To feel alone and unloved in the world, or feel inadequate and disrespected by everyone. So these are two negative options. One, to feel alone and unloved by the world. That's one. Next one is feel inadequate and disrespected by everyone. You know, ആരും ബഹുമാനിക്കപ്പെടാത്തവനായിട്ട് ഭൂമി ജീവിക്കുക, ആരും സ്നേഹിക്കപ്പെടാത്തവനായി ജീവിക്കുക, ആരും ബഹുമാനിക്കപ്പെടാത്തവനായി. These are two negative experiences. Okay, then the question is, if you were forced to choose one, which would you prefer? Would you rather feel, and this is a question given out to so many people in the United States, in so many cities. They conducted a survey. You want to listen? 74% of the people who took the survey said, I would rather feel alone and unloved than being disrespected. 26% said they would feel inadequate and disrespected. That's what they would choose. The first one is actually, they said, I would rather be alone and unloved. 74% of men says that we would rather be, we wanted to make sure that we are respected. So ladies, this is very important. One of the ways you want to find out whether your man is disrespected is, how do you find if your man feels disrespected? How do you find out? What's the symptoms?
Make fun of them.
How do you know that your husband feels disrespected?
If you make fun of them in front of other people or joke around.
No, what are the symptoms?
Anger.
Anger. Look for anger. നിങ്ങളുടെ ഭർത്താവ് ഈ ദിവസങ്ങളിൽ കോപിഷ്ഠനാണ്, if he is really getting angry, that really tells you, it gives you a clue that maybe he feels disrespected. Okay, I'll say this and we'll take a break. What are the ways you can show love or show respect? One, respect his judgment. Okay, what does it mean? Respect his knowledge, his opinions, decisions. Don't question and argue their decisions all the time. Sometimes you have to do that, but sometimes there's a way in which that you question also. Okay, respect their judgment. Maybe some truth in what he says. Okay, maybe some truth in what he says. Varnendo Satyam, there's something truth in what he says. So I understand what he says. All right. Number two, respect his abilities. Men want to figure out things for themselves. I'll give you a best example of that. Sometimes when you go to a store called IKEA, you have a store in IKEA? Yeah. You get stuff sometimes you need to fix. You have to sit there, put out the drawing map and put the screws and all these things in place. Some men are not very good with this technical stuff. Okay, so you bring this thing and then put it on the floor, get a screwdriver, plier, and different things, Phillips, flatten, and then your wife knows you. She knows what you have done in the past. And she will say, why do you want to waste time? Maybe we should call Paulson. Or you call Pastor. He knows how to fix this. You know what he feels inside?
I'm going to show it to her.
No? That's not what he feels. He feels disrespected. So the best thing to do is actually let him grapple with this thing. Let him, let's say somebody with a belly, you have to sit there and back and try to figure out, I'm missing a couple of screws here. And he'll call and say, hey, Susan, I guess we should call Pastor. Or we should call Tom, those are small kids and they can do this better. Let's call them and do it. Yeah, I think that's the best thing to do. But don't tell him right in the beginning and stuff. Let him work on it, okay? Respect his abilities. Respect his judgment, okay? Respect in communication. Okay? Respect him. You should use, when you communicate, he should feel respected. Okay? Very important that is. All right? Now, respect in public. This is very, especially before your children, before other people, church members, friends, his friends. Even if you disagree with him, you wanted to say something, I'll say swallow it, drink some water, you go home, take him inside the room, shut the door and scream. But don't do it before other people. Don't disrespect him before the people. A lot of women have done that. There are women who say, oh, he's a loser, don't listen to him, he's a liar, he never tells you the truth. What have this fellow already feels down, you kick him in his back again. But, just very careful, respect him in public. Then, respect in our assumptions. We assume, he needs to be reminded, so you go remind him, and he loses his control. So you told me 10 times, I know what to do. Okay, but I thought I'd just remind you. Don't remind me, I know. But you should come up with creative ways of doing that. Okay? We sometimes feel he's choosing not to help. Oh, he sits there, he's not trying to help. Maybe he's going through a pain in his heart. Maybe he's processing it. Maybe he feels inadequate. Maybe he feels down. But don't think that, he doesn't want to help. That's the reason he's sitting there. But go sit and ask, is everything okay? Maybe he will open up another side of him and say, I'm not okay. All right? So listen here. A man's world is proudly touched by few simple words. Listen, I am so proud of you. I'm so proud of you. All right. Now, I think it's time for us to take a break. Listen, women, I said only one thing I said, right? I said two things here. Respect and sexual satisfaction. Another said affection and conversation. I said these things because if you can meet these needs, you would see each other putting love units into the account. Your relationship will become very strong. There are still maybe 3 more things in needs of each other that if time permits, I will share that with you. I think you should take a break, and then if time permits, we can come back, and if you have questions to ask me. God bless. It's just a funny song. This is a song that actually mocking the theory of evolution. The Bible tells us God created us in His own image, and science tells us that we came through a process called evolution. There was Big Bang, primordial soup, and all these kinds of stuff. So this is just a story. This is a song that really just mocks that. Well, they say 60 billion years ago, a little fish changed to a tadpole. Spotted legs and gills and hands, then he crawled out on the land, came from reptile to monkey then a man. So today I took the Bible to the school, but the teacher said it was against the rule. She said my grandpa's a gorilla, my dad's a chimpanzee, my little baby brother's a baboon. Oh, did Charlie make a monkey out of you? Do you think you should be living in a zoo? Don't you know it is a lie? When it comes your turn to die, you'll find you're not a monkey but a fool. Well, I heard some far-fetched stories in my days, but the one I heard this morning take the cake. I'm looking in the mirror, checking out my rear. I can't find a tail going any place. So I stood up to the teacher and told the class, I can swallow this baloney of our past. Evolution really stings. There's too many missing links. To believe all is too much to ask. Oh, did Charlie make a monkey out of you? Do you think you should be living in a zoo? Don't you know it is a lie? When it comes your turn to die, you'll find you're not a monkey but a fool. Oh, did Charlie make a monkey out of you? Do you think you should be living in a zoo? Don't you know it is a beautiful. All people inside, maybe we'll start. All right. Okay, let's start. So I said two things. One is, woman needs affection. Number two,
Conversation.
she needs conversation. All right. Let's go to the third one, third need of a woman. It is actually called honesty and openness. That's something every woman needs. She wants her husband to be honest. Honest about everything. Satyasandhanarikkanum വലിയ ആഗ്രഹം. Honest about the past, about the present, and about the future. But we also need to be wise. Because I can tell you there are a lot of places where men have said things that came back firing them. That backfired. So you have to be careful, especially because I know that because when sometime at certain times and you wanted to say things, too much stuff. Some men have lied. They fabricated things and said so that he thought his woman was so excited to hear it. But it came back haunting him later. Very important that. So what kind of information you share, you want to be very careful with that. But thing is that she needs to know about your present right now. I'm talking about revealing things in the past, okay? Things happen in the past. You know, if it's not going to be productive, don't say it. But present, she needs to know. Your wife needs to know everything about you. Honesty is a very important key. And also future. She needs to know what direction you are going. There's once a woman, two ladies were talking. So one woman said, my husband is like Moses. She said, well, why you say she's like Moses? He's like Moses. He said, he can get lost in the wilderness for 40 years and never ask for directions. So the other lady said, my husband is like God. He said he seldom does anything, and anything he does is a miracle. Alright, so openness and honesty is very important key. Being open about each other. See, you should be willing to be vulnerable. Vulnerable to you. You know, a woman wants to know everything about you. Don't keep her in the dark. About your plans, what direction you are going into. We should be open about that. Because that is a need of a woman. Right, ladies? Or you want a husband who is very secretive? Don't tell you anything. You want someone to be open and honest, right? Yeah, we have all kinds of liars. We have men who are born liars. All that they say is lie. Right from their childhood they lie. They lie. They're born liars. There are some people lie to avoid trouble. They lie. That's also troublesome. Honesty is the best policy. Okay. Now ladies, let me come to the third need of a man. Alright? This is what in American society here, they call it, he wants a recreational companion. He wants a recreational companion. And I know I'm talking to the Indian audience, so I'm just going to modify that a little bit. So in our culture here, basically every man wants a friend. You hear that, ladies? Every man wants a, say loud, friend. That's the need of every man. He wants his wife to be his best friend. Okay? He wants her to be excited about what he does. You know, it could be sports, it could be going somewhere, it could be whatever it is. Just, you know, maybe his business, the field of study, his career, whatever it is. You just need to be excited about what he is doing. Even if you don't know, just learn it. You know, so spend time, get involved, be part of, you know, no man likes a woman who is complaining 24/7. If you are that person, stop it. Nobody. How many men like that? A woman who complains all the time? Yeah. You should read Proverbs that tells about women. All kinds of women. Make sure you're not one of those. Some say that, you know, some women are like the drippings. You wanted to be a positive person. You wanted to, you know, just be there. You know, don't be complaining all the time. Don't be criticizing. Please get plenty of criticism. Anything small he does, she has something to say. You know, I like somebody who supports me. I like somebody, even if I goofed it or make a mistake, she would say, it's okay. It happens. You know, God is still with us. We'll make it. Don't be just looking at it. You are just good for nothing. You're not the leader. You're not doing this. That is not really going to encourage the person. He wants a friend, not someone who criticizes. You know, don't be a critic. You know, at times you should do it, but on the other side is that you just want to be that positive friend. Warm, positive, close. Ask yourself a question. Are you a close friend of your husband? Are you? Very important. So my kids ask me, you know, you can ask myself or my wife. You call my children and ask them, hey, who is your dad's best friend? My kids will say without any problem, they'll say his wife. Apart from God, his wife, he is his best friend. That is really true. My best friend is my wife. That's a heart connection. You wanted to have a best friend. Your husband should be your best friend. You should go places with him, you know. You know, there are some husbands, you know, when I do this kind of seminars, sometimes men tell me, this is a typical Indian family setup. Husband really likes the outdoors. Okay, this guy likes outdoors. He likes to go for fishing. He wants to go just see the nature. And so he says, he calls his wife and say, oh, Minnie, let's go, let's have some fun, let's go outside. She would say, I'm not coming, I need to sleep. Take care also. When are you going to go? 70-year-old boy, you take him so I can sleep here. You know, he feels put down. This is what men tells me. You know, say, Pastor, I feel put down. I wanted to spend some time. I wanted to take care of her. I want her to be excited, just to be with me. She says, I'm going to sleep. You take this miserable kid also with you. And when he says something, don't brush it aside, ladies. He's calling you because he wants you to come with him. A lot of women reject that offer. It is your husband. He's calling you. He wants you to be that friend. You're not in the habit of doing it. I'm just encouraging you. Please. And I tell you something. As you grow older, you need to be more closer. More closer. Just to be together all the time. You know, I say this, you know, there are some kids, you know, they sleep right in the middle of their father and mother. There's a book called Child-Proof Your Marriage. There's something called Storm-Proof Your Marriage. There's something called Child-Proof. They all, they take a photo, they are in the middle. Go somewhere, they are in the middle. Without the kid, they can't go anywhere. Sometimes you should say, ask somebody, can you watch this? I'll give you $5 an hour for 2 hours, $10. Kids are, you know, high school kids, they like that to watch them. Keep them $10, keep that boy, and trust them with somebody. Why don't you go with him? An Indian mother can never think about that. 2 manikkoor. How is he doing? Yeah, did you just keep that phone down? He's not going to die in 2 hours' time. Spend the time with your husband. I think at times you should be willing to do it. Because there's a need. He wants you to be his friend. Be with him. Okay? And make sure that our homes are a little bit of heaven. It's, you're an ambassador and your home is heaven's embassy. Is it something like heaven? Can you imagine you go to heaven? Just imagine you go to heaven. You ring the bell. And you hear some grouchy voice from inside. Who is that? Oh, it's me. The door, if you have key, come inside. There's some food in the fridge. Warm it up. And eat. I'm here sleeping. Don't wake me up. Is that how you go to heaven? Heaven, when you go to heaven, people are excited, right? Otherwise, who wants to go there? So when your husband comes home, you should be excited. Okay? I'll come to that a little later. So I said 3 things. Now you tell me, women, tell me 3 things about your husband. Huh?
Sexual satisfaction.
Yeah. Respect. Yeah, let's call it good front, okay? Number Indiakark and recreation recreation so we don't have any other recreation, so let's not talk about that stuff. So I'm saying that he wants you to be a good friend, okay? Alright, so ladies, men, what are the 3 things of needs of women I said? Affection, conversation, honesty and openness. Honesty and openness. Good. Now ladies, listen, I'll say one more thing. This is with men, okay? He wants a good-looking wife. Pastor is in trouble now. All I mean to say is actually, men are visual. It's the eye gate that opens first. Look at all this fashion for women. Do you know if that fashion, is it designed for women or meant for women or for men? Women fashion is for men, not for women. Okay? He wants you, all it means is actually, he wants you to do your very best with what you have. Okay? Men are visual. Does not matter whether he's a pope, whether he's a pastor, Sunday school teacher, metropolitan, whoever it is. When someone beautiful passes by, his eyes will go and fall. But if he's looking second time, he got a problem. First sight that happens. That's being man. That's all it is. But if he's looking at the same person 2 or 3 times, he's got a problem with his eyes. He needs to check it. Okay? All I'm saying is actually men are, it's the eye gate that opens for men. And it's the ear gate that opens for women. Women tilt towards people who are nice. They talk really nice, uplifting, encouraging. They tilt towards, that's the ear gate that opens first. Men are visual. So what can you do to make yourself presentable? Not for other people. What happens to a lot of us is actually women. When they go out somewhere, they go stand in front of the mirror and, do all that kind of stuff. Who is seeing you? Outsiders. No use. You need to be presentable for your husband. And looking at all of you, you're all looking all neatly dressed and fine, good. But there are men who tell me stories when I say this point. I say, Pastor, I'm so glad that you said. I've been wanting to tell my wife, but when I say something that we got trouble in the house, she'll kick me out of the house. But good that, there are some people who go, that you see them. in the homes, you know, the way they stay in the house, I'm just talking about, number one, I tell you, sir, our curry is very strong, masalas are very strong, you make sure that our clothes don't stink. There are some people who don't even buy Indian houses. They think their carpet stinks curry. So especially, you know, if you're in an apartment and places like that, you make sure that you cook. You have very little choice. But homes, you can do a lot of things. And he says, when I come back from work, you know, she's there. You know, she's like a mobile kitchen. I can look at her. She has got curry all over, pickle here, there, tone here. This is a maxi that she bought from India. I think the time has come for you to be different. Do your best. Ask your husband, what type of hairstyle do you really like? Okay? The clue is actually, is he looking at you? Does your husband look at you and say, hey, she's good. She's still attractive. If he's not looking at you, he's looking somewhere. Which is not good, right? So do your very best. So I'm not saying that for tomorrow when he comes back from work that you should have that nice Kanchipuram sari, make dosha, like that. I'm not going to say, sari a good thing, and I was on the side. All I mean is actually do your very best. You know, don't be in your shabby clothes when he comes inside and toys flying all around the place, kids are not taken care. No, that's not the place. Make yourself attractive. Okay? You know, something that in the field of maybe reducing your weight, please do it. Go for a walk and do something, work on a diet, and if it's something working with your appearance, doing your hair, you know, ask your husband, maybe the color of clothes that you pick up. There are some colors that I don't like. My wife has no clothes in that color. Some of you need to talk to your wife about some colors that you don't like it. You know, or if you like every color, that's fine. But for me, I don't like some colors. So you work and make sure, because he wants an attractive spouse. Not that he wants you to be a film star. He likes you, but can you do your very best with what you have? Make yourself more presentable, more appealing. Okay? That's your job. Make sure your man remains happy. All right, men, think about this. Woman needs financial security. That's another need of a woman. She wants financial security. What do I mean by that? What is financial security? I mean, she wants you to be a wise person with finance. See, there are some women have no clue how much money they have. Husbands don't tell them. There are men who just handle all these finances, never give their wives a clue. As I told you earlier, that they'll give them $50, $20 every paycheck, and she keep it up, make it 100 or 200, he will get it. You don't want to be like that. You need to, you know, look at some of the Indian homes. Wife have money that husband do not know. She has secret money that husband do not know. She has got a bank account and he has no clue. So extra job she does, it siphons and goes into this account. I tell you, if you really wanted to have openness in your family, you should have one account. Your wife should have the password. Her name should be there. You both, wife, yours and you don't have no secret accounts. Husbands, you need to make sure that any financial decisions that you make, do it with, you know, wholehearted enthusiasm of your wife. There may be times you are called to make a decision, but before you arrive there, talk to her. Talk to her. So we have a policy in our home. Any purchase we do over $50, anything over $50, we have to talk to each other. I mean, not regular household stuff and all. Anything else that, you know, I call her and say, oh, there's some deal I wanted to, maybe I thought of buying this. She will say, how much is it? I say, it's just $120. He said, do we really need it? I said, it's a good stuff. I remember some years ago when we had music, now we have all this iPod now. So